process costing. Average costing is a simpler, more direct method, but it's not as precise as the FIFO method of doing the process cost report or production report. So again, we have 5 steps to success when we're doing average costing, or you'll also hear me call it weighted average, or WA, because we cry whenever we have to do one of these. And we know that we do one of these reports, every period for every work in process account. In other words, for every department, they get their own process cost report, don't they? So under average costing, here are the facts again. We know that we have to account for our physical units. Beginning inventory has 4,250 physical units. We started 61,300 units, so as a manager, I cannot lose 65,550 units. So that's why this is what came in and what I'm accountable for. This is what happened to them. What happened to the 65,550 units is we know that we transferred out, that there's ending inventory of 3,400 units. So that's still our responsibility. So the rest must have transferred out of our department. So the difference between 65,550 and 3,400 is 62,150. The units that transferred out and we're no longer responsible for. So that's step 1. Step 2 says we're going to account for our efforts, but under average costing, instead of looking at current effort, we look at total effort. In other words, whether I spent that effort this period or last period, we are going to include it in our equivalent unit computation. So here's how it looks. If the 62,150 units were transferred out of our department, then 62,150 equivalent units of materials are in those physical units, because otherwise they wouldn't have left the department. Likewise, 62,150 equivalent units for labor and overhead exist in those physical units, because otherwise they would not have transferred out of our department. So notice the 2 transferred out is a very simple line. You just copy it across, and the reason you copy it across is because if they transferred out, they have 100% of their materials, 100% of their labor and overhead. As far as ending inventory is concerned, you'll recall that it says that ending inventory is 100% complete as far as its materials, because materials were added at the beginning of the production in that department. So 100% times 3,400 is 3,400 equivalent units of effort for materials. But for conversion, we're only at about the 50% point. So only 50% of labor and overhead have been added to ending inventory. So 50% of 3,400 is 1,700 equivalent units. So totaling this up, what are my equivalent units of effort for materials? Well, there's 65,550. What about for conversion? Adding transferred out plus ending comes to 63,850. So step 2, these are our equivalent units of effort. Next time we're going to talk about step 3, accounting for our costs. Step 4, finding our cost per equivalent unit.